Good
Nice.
afternoon, everybody out there watching, tuning in on LinkedIn, on your PC, on your phone, on your tablet, from your car, from the park, from your bedroom, wherever you are, however you're watching, welcome. For today's Axie game event session, where we are going to focus on restructuring and synergies game. And for this game, I have the honor of inviting in Frank from Transformotion,
Thank you.
who is
Oh,
an
yeah, in my
expert
life.
in change management. And Transformotion has actually been working with the Axis since 2011 or 12. We just talked about Frank and I, which is an incredible amount of years actually to have been working with us. That's super cool. And on top of that, I have our founder and CEO live here to challenge Frank playing this game and to kind of bring the insights that he can use.
Ah,
And
exactly.
he is ready. Did I
I've heard
forget to
that life
mention
is with
anything?
actually since even longer than I am.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, Frank, we actually been collaborating since 11. I remember the days. So it's super great that you willing to participate in this game event and allowing me to beat you in a game.
Live, when you
So
beat
No
one of
idea
our
how much I've
expert
been
guests,
training.
it's going to be a big day.
yeah, exactly. Not happened yet, but thank you, Frank, so much for participating.
All right. So before we get into the game itself, I just quickly want to touch on a few points about Acti for those of you out there who do not know us, because it's a huge mistake not to know us, because we are giving you an incredible amount of value, but we will talk about that. So first, a little bit about Acti. Then you guys are actually going to get the link and get to play the game. And while you do that, we're going to set up Frank and Live to do an online battle of at least the first chapter, maybe the first two, where we will also do a little bit of talk about how you facilitate the games and how you can transfer these learnings into the real world. And in the end, we'll open up for some Q&A, and then that is the event of the day. So without further ado, I think we should just get started. And very quickly, this is an Acti overview. Live, you are the founder and CEO. Do you want to just quickly tell us what is Acti?
Yeah, but I was actually thinking Frank has been here 2011. He's been working with our tools for such a long time. So maybe Frank, you could present Transformotion and then add in how you have added games in. Maybe that's better.
That's a good
Okay, well,
idea.
I will do so. Thank
Yeah.
you. So, what do we do in Transformotion? We do three things actually. It's change management, it's leadership development, and it's corporate culture. And most often we find out that it's all the same. At least there are large intersections. The overlaps between the three are very obvious. And how do we do that? Well, we firmly believe that know-how is not the problem today. So know-how, you can go to YouTube or read books. There's know-how everywhere. What we need is can do, and even that is not good enough. So if you can do something in a training or in a workshop in an artificial environment, the actual trick is to make that sustainable behavior. So we focus on creating habits and do change management or good leadership on purpose, make it a habit. And we call that act different. So after a workshop, you should really do something differently.
Mhm.
And
And
that's
if you add in Acti into that equation, where does Acti come into all of those services that you actually provide, Frank?
that would have been my next sentence actually, and that's why we like it so much, because simulation games actually help us in doing exactly that. Um, Not only being able to do something when you think about it, but by playing games, you well, we will see that. Of course, we will play a game in a second or minute, and you will see that you take decisions on purpose without having all the firefighting in the background that you have in real life at work. In a workshop and a training, and you take a decision on purpose, and you can learn and digest it so that it can become a habit. And playing games, well, look at how kids learn something. They try something, they get better, and then they after a while, they don't have to think about it. And that's when you can do something and you're doing something differently than before. And playing games adds a lot to that. And in particular, the active games, we haven't seen any better games out there, and particularly for change management and leadership development. We love the opportunity to, or the option to build our own games with own theories. And well, the platform is so open, so non-dogmatic. Well, I hope we can see a lot of that today.
So do we.
Oh,
Yeah.
you deserve this, Frank. This was a perfect summary of Axie. We could not have done it better ourselves.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. So the next thing I want to touch about is the pains that actually can address, which I think you also just covered a little bit, Frank, that the opportunities are actually kind of endless when you have the possibility of designing your own games about what pains to address. So I don't know if you can see these, Frank, probably, but what pains are the ones you are working with primarily? Can you separate them?
Well, many times we realize that what we do is not specific to any branch or something. It's rather the challenge that comes, well, that appears in all branches. So anyway, when we do changes, well, you can almost tick everything off here, like merger, like culture, like teams, restructuring, well, almost everything.
Mm.
And we are, for instance, we are not the experts of the legal aspects of a merger, but the leadership aspects, they are the same wherever you go. So we are more like helping companies along with a method, with a change management method, and not so much with a subject matter.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Okay. So
we are
you
not,
can
not
actually.
IT gurus, but we can help, for instance, in the implementation of CRM systems, and we don't do the customizing of the system, but we help them with the leadership aspects, with the communication, with doing something on purpose in order to get people along.
Yeah.
After all,
Exactly.
change is about behavior, and a system will only ever be a vehicle to move people to different behavior.
So you're saying that no matter the problem, you can solve it at transformation, or like no matter the pain, you will actually be able to work with the people and through Acti deal with a
Yeah,
solution.
certain aspects of it, of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I compare that, like I like to compare that with a bus driver. If you want to pick up people and move them along, the bus driver knows where to stop because there is a bus stop and people are waiting at the bus stop. If you want to move people along in a change process, you don't know where they are, so you need to find out, and that's where we can help. That's also where the cycle of change model can help, that we will see in a second. So helping people to understand where others are, that's always a good starting point, and then you can do interventions on purpose. And that doesn't matter if it's a CRM system implementation or a merger or whatever from that list here. The mechanism of leading people through change and creating new behavior, new culture, new convictions, whatever, that's more or less the same. Different interventions, of course, but the same principles behind it.
Again, I think a great answer to kind of showcase how you have a very difficult time sort of separating a lot of these pains from each other. They kind of come in groups or chunks of each other, but it's really about the process you deal with the pains more than the pain itself. All right. And ooh, there we go. So another thing I quickly want to touch upon is the learning space on which you can use Acti. So of course, the physical use has been very used, and until COVID, the digital use of Acti really kind of went crazy. Everybody started doing that. But you can see half of a floorboard behind me here, which is sort of representing a cycle that we'll get to as soon as we enter the game. But what do you use, Frank? Do you use the physical floorboard, or do you use the online floorboard?
Well, as you said, there were times when we were forced to do online only. And it's actually funny. I remember an active partner meeting in December, just before COVID, where one of our fellow consultants said, well, I'm doing it online only. And no one could think how that would be possible. And then a few months later, we were all forced to do it online only. And that's possible, perfectly well possible. But on the other hand, I absolutely appreciate when I get the chance to do both, with the physical board and the online version, because the game is anyway online. But people just love it when they can play it on the board, and when they stand around the floorboard, as you can see on the picture on the right-hand bottom. This one, yes, exactly. Where people stand around the board and maybe change perspectives and look at it from different perspectives, and you can really see insights clicking within brains when they stand around it and look at it. And well, as I said, both is possible. If you get the chance to do the combination, that's perfect.
That's also our takeaways from our communication, right, Life? That a combo of these works really, really well.
I agree. I totally agree. We should have. Might be a little bit too high.
It's a little bit of a surprise. Okay.
Sorry for that.
You're gonna get a new chance for a dance break in a minute, Live. But
nice.
Before we do that, I just quickly want to present the game, the actual game we are going to be working with today, which is sorry, I'm just gonna get this one up, which is the game called Restructuring and Synergies. And very, very shortly, you're gonna read everything in a minute yourself. But it's a game about a company who needs to restructure, and you are in the position of a manager you used to manage the 7 employees in an IT department, and now because of restructuring you now have to manage 10 employees, all from different departments. So that is sort of your challenge, to kind of make an environment where they thrive, these employees, but also I think it's about it's saving some time, making it more efficient in the company. So those are sort of your 2 goals in the game. And there are actually 6 theories and models in layers of this game. And I'm just quickly going to mention that we have Rick Mauer's resistance levels. We have the diamond model of Leave It. We have Daniel Goleman's 6 leadership styles, John Cotter's 8-step model. We have management versus leadership, and we have the ADKAR model. That's a lot of theories, and I don't think anyone except the experts can kind of keep track of all theories at once. Frank, if you were going to facilitate a game like this, what theory would you find the most important to focus on?
I think it's impossible to answer, because what is a theory good for? What is a model good for? A model always reduces complexity and focuses on certain aspects, like the resistance levels, for instance. Yeah, sometimes that's exactly what you need to look at. Levitt, for instance, is just a submodel that is, well, looking at the management aspects of change. Cotter and ADKAR, well, I think they are, well, sort of interchangeable, because both give you an idea of what you can do when you know where someone is. Goleman is leadership styles, or, well, you can just as well call them communication styles, because it helps a lot in change communication. So whatever you want to look at in a particular challenge within your change, that's the model that you should just pull out. So for me, there is no most important one. It's the combination that does the trick here. And the cycle of change, the big cycle, actually offers a fantastic opportunity to visualize all of them. So you can, well, sharpen your focus on what you really need to see in a particular given moment.
Maybe also worth saying that it also depends on how much time you have, but it's having 6 is too much to discuss at one time. So 6 is underlying in each chapter, or in some chapters you might have some theories and so on. So you will never present all 6 theories. You will probably be focusing on one in a dialogue with your client, or in a dialogue with the group, what's most important for them. And you might even consider changing it if you have a client that are working with none of these, or want you to focus on one specific approach to change, then you would change that model, add that into the game, and then that will be your focus. The player does not need to know all of the 6 models. You don't need to present anything actually.
Absolutely. When I gave this answer, I didn't have only the game situation in my mind, but also the change consultants
Of course.
situation in my mind, because that's where you not play a game, but visualize a real situation, and then you need to pull out the respective theories and models to focus on certain aspects. But that's what I love about actually, that it offers everything: playing the game, creating better skills for picking the right choices, but then also use it in real life.
Yeah, and maybe also comparing things. You can see the data there, the picture you have brought up there, Ida, is containing also comparison data. That means that you can also, not only can I as the player see what I have been doing theoretically in the game, I can also compare myself against others in that session, or I can compare myself against executive level or project managers and so on. So there are various access that should engage me more, maybe in playing it again by myself, being interested in being better, asking Frank, what should I do if I wanted to become more, create more sense of urgency, or blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think those were the most important things for you guys to know about the game. So I think we should just sort of play it. But before then, I think we need a little bit of an energy.
That was a high music. That was nice.
Okay, I actually did turn it down, but
you did. Maybe it's my sound that is high. Maybe I should turn down.
All right. So in the chat, you should be receiving a link any second now. Live and Frank, you should already have the link, I hope. But what is going to happen is, I just need to add my screen back up here. So what is going to happen is, as soon as you receive the link, you will, of course, click it, and you will get to a page like this. This is our guest login page. So what you do is you add your name. And again, here you can add your position. This is really relevant for comparisons, but it's not a necessity for you to do it. I'm going to say I am an employee, and then I'll join the session. You have some information and some language options. You don't need to think about that. You just click the big orange button and you are started. And there is quite a bit of reading in the beginning, and I know it's really, really tempting to just decide to skip it, but the more you skip, the worse you're going to be off playing the game. So reading the introductions are definitely a good time of a good value for your time. I'm going to skip them now because I just would like to show you how you actually move around in the game. So in this first chapter, you must make 2 decisions to sort of move on. I'm going to choose quickly 2 at random. And you would get some result text. And this is then the cycle of change that we have mentioned a few times already now. Live, would you like to quickly just make a brief overview of how you understand the cycle of change?
Yeah, I would just easily describe is that you have 2 ways that you can move people. You can move them in and out. There you see the rings. And there you can see the more they are away from the center of the ring, the more problems you have, basically. The more further away they are from the boat, the more problems you have. That's basically the idea. And the boat is the blue symbol there. And the whole idea is trying to move people down from the rings and up towards the boat. The closer you are to the boat with each of the person, the better you are off, basically. And you get 1 point for moving people towards the boat, and you get minus for moving them back. And please note that you can be in front of the boat. So, and if you're in front of the boat, you also have a problem. So it's not just good to have everybody in front of the boat. They have to be as close to the boat as possible. at the same time. And if you're doing really good, you are capable of getting everyone into the boat as well. And one move for one person is 1 point. One move for one boat into the next field is 1 point. So that's the idea here. And
Perfect.
of course, maybe I should say that the resistance levels, the lines in this game are the resistance levels. So that means that you can think about where they are positioned. Now we only have an hour, but Frank would in a session present you the theory of the resistance levels, and there you would be able to figure out, okay, so if they are in the outer ring, they have a very strong emotional reactions. They have a trust issue with either you or the strategy, and you should figure out how to work with trust. If they are in the second ring, they have an emotional reactions. It's typically their line of business that is in place. It's their status in the organization or something related in those two main areas. And if they are in the inner ring, that means on the level 1 resistance, they need more information. There you should look for like PowerPoint slides information, give them more information about strategy, why are we doing this, and so on. And if they're just inside, like just on the same level as the boat, they're basically just either behind or in front, and you can move them by moving the people forward and back. They're not resisting towards your change. That was the short, long story.
Thank you, Leif.
I made my first choice, Frank. I got a lot of points.
Oh,
Okay.
well, I'm definitely in front because I made 2 decisions already.
Oh, okay. Damn, I only
Great.
made 2 points in my first decision. How much did you make, Frank, in the first?
Well, I've got 13 now. I would have to go to the game history in order to look. 10 in the first, 8, 10, 13.
I think we can actually have Tamara or Ida, sorry, can actually add us on there so she can actually go to the first.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So before
Oh,
we get completely sucked into you guys' competition going
yeah.
on here, for you guys watching, tuning in, you are more than welcome to just silence this chat if it's disturbing while you're playing. But once you finish playing, you will get a data profile, which is super cool and insightful about who you are in a change process. And join in when you finish playing the game, and we're gonna dig into the facilitation. If you're just viewing, not playing, just relax. This is going to be entertaining, I think. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So I have here the host view of Frank and Life in focus. And Life, you're orange, like Acti, and Frank, you're black. And it looks like you guys are completely identical.
That's because we are in the first chapter only. You only clicked on chapter 1 in the beginning. So if you click next, if you click on the first one up there to the, yeah, exactly.
There you
If you
go.
click,
That's your first choice.
yeah, but if you click next down to the next one, chapter 2,
Yep.
there you get, I have not made chapter 2, but let me move in. If you update the data there and you click on chapter 2, then you can see the situations that we created in the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
We both got 2 points, Frank.
Yeah.
You can see there that you got 2. You are on top because you're in lead, and I got 2 because it shows the points of that decision that we made. And I took 5 and 8 in the first option. You probably have to click back to see Frank's, but maybe we can just.
I can at least.
I think you need
Frank
to
here.
click me off, maybe.
Yeah. There we go.
We can't see that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's in chapter 2. You have to go back to see his. Yeah, there we go. What did he take? 1 step forward.
Here we go. Chapter 1.
That's the introduction. You have to go 1 step forward.
Oh.
Yeah, this one.
This
Number
one,
9
yeah.
and 14.
All right.
All right. Why did you choose these, Frank?
To be honest, the second one I chose just randomly.
Okay.
And I chose number 14 first because I wanted to point out that change is not only positive because people might feel they're being lied to or something, but I also didn't want to create panic because that's a first conversation to the crowd here. So I wanted to point out both. And then I thought, well, a plan might be a good idea, but I didn't think much about it.
I did. I took why why a reorganization, and it is about you. That was my two choices, and I was kind of thinking. My idea was first I want to create a rationale behind the idea of why we're doing it, and then secondly, I also wanted to create like a sense that it's about you, meaning that it's about the world. But I have to admit that I only read the headline. I didn't read down to it, to be honest. But I only got 2 points, which I don't understand.
Sometimes participants argue that the engine
Yeah,
of the simulation must be broken because they didn't
yeah.
get
There
the
must be
they wanted.
who built this stupid game. There's
Yeah.
when it's only giving 2 points. Okay, let's move on. I want to make my first choice here too.
All right.
I will do. I will do this. Yeah, how many choices do you make, Frank?
I've played the chapter 2 completely.
You have played chapter 2 completely.
Yes.
Okay, I took one choice now in chapter 1. So maybe if you can click on me, we can just monitor me
Yeah.
and Frank at the same time. So we are all on, but if you on
And
the
I
left
think
side.
if you wanna, did you make all the
Exactly.
choices already? Perfect.
These two. If you then scroll up, we can see what Frank and I got at the same
There
point.
we go.
There we go. Frank, you got one more point than me. What did you take? What option did you take? You took 15. What was that? Do you remember?
I thought that might be related to the project vision. So I wanted to point out what we're actually heading for. So if you show us the text, that might emphasize my idea.
Yeah, just click on his. Yeah, exactly.
Where are we
go.
going? So I thought that would be about the vision, the project vision. And I thought that might be a good idea for a start to gather more people behind the boat and then move people closer to the boat.
Why is that important now, Frank, in this part of the change?
Well, I think it's a good idea. Well, if you go to the models, the first quarter of the cycle is actually called in the dark in Rick Maurer's model. And I wanted people to get out of the dark as soon as possible.
So that would be this first quarter.
But didn't you have any concerns related to creating like too much pressure on people?
That's always a danger. So it's always having, a balance of people moving forward, and maybe you create some resistance along the way. Then you have to tackle that next. Yeah. So I don't think there is the ideal intervention that moves everyone just into the boat, and the boat, 2 fields forward as well.
No, not except for the one I took, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. What is it?
All right, live. Let's see what if this is true.
Oh, that one.
Do you want to explain your choice here, live?
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, we should create a driving coalition, someone that can monitor and follow us around in the change. That was my initial thought, and I thought that to work with the resistance at this level is a little bit too early. So I more wanted to form someone who would argue positively for the change that we are going through on both sides of the company. That was my idea.
But your focus is on building competence here. Is that not far too early?
Yeah, for sure it is far too early, but it was meant to, in my mind, it was meant to create a campaign, like a group of people that were coming with me, right? So, but I was mistakenly choosing a wrong choice. I also got 1 point less than you, Frank. So
yeah,
maybe for that reason, it's a
Let's
little bit too early.
But 1 point less than Frank life, that still means that you get this one.
Yes, it does. Ida.
Sorry.
Why are you pointing to that?
You started this.
Okay, I think you should give Frank the other one then.
I think so too. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good job.
Like that.
I will hit it again.
I already took the next choice. So
you already took the next choice.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask quickly if we can stick with the last choice for one more minute.
Yeah.
Frank, because you chose this one with sort of visualizing the process. Like,
Yeah, well, not so much the
um,
process, but the result you want to achieve, the final result you want to achieve. I think it's good to demonstrate what the well, not the plan and not the strategy and not the process is, but the target image that you have in mind. And well, some people say vision, that's far too almost esoteric. I don't believe so. So if there is a strong image that can motivate people and make people enthusiastic about the end result, that can, well, move people quite some way forward. And that's what I try to do. So move them closer to the boat. I was willing to not move the boat so far, but rather move people towards the boat. That was my intention.
okay. Because I'm wondering, this for me would be, I mean, previous events have shown me that I am a visualized leader, but I would feel like this would be the absolute first step you do, is to kind of visualize this is what we do. But that was not really your answer for the first chapter, if I'm correct.
No, because very often in change processes, when everyone is still in the dark and the process is so relatively early, well, it's so early in the process, there is no plan yet. There is just the realization that you need to do something, and you hopefully have an idea of what you want to achieve, but not necessarily a plan. And that's difficult for many people. And that's also the reason that life already indicated sometimes that, well, it builds resistance where you don't want it, but it happens.
Mm, okay. All right. Thank you. In my head, it doesn't make sense to not just say this is the plan, but everything you just said made a lot of sense. So I will accept that. And you may officially move on to chapter 3. Thank you.
Nice. I already moved on to chapter 2. I played through chapter 1, and I think I might be on the same level as you, Frank. So
Oh, taking a choice in chapter 3 already. Okay.
yeah, I already went into chapter 3, but I don't know if how far you, Frank, have you also made chapters
Nope.
choices in chapter?
He's
No, I
just
just
about
finished
to.
chapter 2 and now I'm moving into 3.
Frank has been
Okay,
answering important questions for me live.
okay. Yeah, that's when I took, as you can see, life took some choices.
Live, what
I did.
if
I
you're
did.
gonna if you
Okay.
wanna summarize the board for us, how are you positioned right now? Like just you, not according to Frank.
Yeah, how I'm positioned is would be that I still, as we both are struggling with a person way behind out in resistance level 3, and that person is of course a bugger. We are not moving him with us, but if you and I've been looking for the firing choice, and it's not there, and maybe we should consider making it there, so we can get some of these dots off the boards, like the red and the blue one way behind. But if you click on them, we'll be able to see that Julia, she gives us a feedback here, and we could look into what is she actually asking for if we should move her. But if you go back to the game board, I think one of the learnings I always tend to give when I've been playing this game, and I'm not out there as a consultant, so Frank probably have more details than me. But one of the major things that you should consider while you have somebody in resistant level 3 is that, is it really worth spending time on that person right now when it's 1 out of 10? That means that it's 10% of your people that you're moving. Do you really want to spend a lot of hours on moving somebody down, or can it wait until later in the change? Is that person important for the process that you're in? And that goes against what leaders normally have as a sense of emotions when you have somebody in resistant level 3. You are really not liking to see somebody distrusting you or distrusting the company. But one of the key learnings from this board is be strategically with your resources. They are not limited. And the game is supposed to back that argument up by saying you have 100 hours. Do you really want to spend 25 or maybe even half of your time on one person instead of spending them on the rest? So,
And
Frank, do you have
I like the
anything to add?
discussion. And it's not only what happens to this guy, will you move him or her or not? It's also what happens to the others.
Yeah,
Why
why
are you
not doing
working with
any?
one person only? How will the others react?
Yeah.
But will leaving someone way back, will that and not doing anything, will that not just make the resistance worse over time?
Yeah, potentially, but you can be in a situation where that's a cost you're willing to take, or you can also be in a position where I need to handle that at a later stage, or maybe it's if it's a crucial person and if you click on that person might be you might be thinking when I get into chapter 2 when we start implementing that person is key to the process, and then it's about time to involve that person and work with the resistance, or send a colleague down to work with that person. Um, but you have to be strategically thinking about when or how far can you go, and leadership is about being personal or human strategically operating with your resources. You can't get out of that trap. If you are a leader, you are limited. You have to make decisions that are conflicting with your personal or with most leaders' personal response to behavior, which is if somebody have trust, you would like to work with that trust. But in some cases, you don't have the resources. And resources meaning human capacity, not meaning money and hours.
Right. Thank you, Leif. I am going
Mm.
to update the data
Yes, please do
and
that.
see where Frank is at.
Where Ooh, are we at the same position, Frank? I don't think we are. Yeah, we are. Okay, yeah. Now,
Ooh,
Oh, here we go. All right, so this is where you're at. Leif, your boat is one step further, but you
yeah,
also have two stakeholders way behind, or a little bit
yeah.
behind. Not as behind as they could have been.
No, and I'm still lacking. It's still Frank who's in the lead
yep. Well,
with
I think it's
65. You are actually leading much more than me,
Hmm.
and I think the cost I'm paying is actually the cost that you pointed to, Ida. I'm paying the cost of having people far behind.
And then getting more and more angry about that fact.
Exactly. So
Mm.
maybe we could discuss, Frank. Maybe we should discuss what should I do? What options should I make now? I've entered chapter 5. What should I be looking for if I want to move my board differently?
well, if I were you, there are three things I can see. Either you put your focus on the two guys left behind and make them actually see the real challenge and move them closer to the boat. That could, of
Mhm.
course, cause more resistance for the others who are not in the focus of your attention right now. These ones, exactly. Another option would be to focus on these five guys who are not so far behind the boat and move them even closer, maybe into the boat. Or you could also say, well, there are three people behind the boat with no resistance at all, so let's just move the boat and
Yeah.
make them follow later on. But
At
you have
this,
to
at
take
this,
a decision, yeah.
yeah, but I think at this stage it's a thing between thinking in points and thinking in real life. To me, I would still consider the ones closest to the boat, and actually, I would as a personal be willing to leave somebody behind. To be honest, if I have to follow my instincts,
Yeah, and in
I would.
reality, you might want to think about who it actually is that you leave behind. Is it someone very important?
Yes.
Is it a thought leader, a reputation, um,
Yeah.
someone with a good reputation that you want to get across? Or is it someone where you would say, well, okay, well, I'm going to take that risk?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
Have
Let's
you
make some
ever
choices.
experienced this in real life, Frank? That someone has been so, like that the group has been so split that some are very close to the boat, if not in the boat,
Yeah,
and then there's
absolutely.
another group that's very much
When,
in resistance.
absolutely. When we play with companies and there is the picture like that, like Life's picture right now, where there is someone left behind, many companies say, oh, we know that guy, we have him as well.
Yeah. Always.
You have one of those too. Okay, so this would be a very real problem to address out in
Yes,
the real
yeah,
world.
exactly.
How to deal with these resistance laggers, or not slaggers. Let's not call them that. But all right. Do you guys want to do one more chapter before we move on to the host view or host view and data profile?
Actually, I've played chapter 4.
Oh wow, in fact, Frank, you're already gone. Come on,
Well,
live.
I don't want to
Yeah,
embarrass
yeah.
them too much.
I'll try.
Oops. Okay, well, let's stop here.
You're too good. You're too good and
Oh,
fast.
I also wasted one. Oh, how annoying is that? Hmm. Okay,
So
now it's
Frank,
getting.
while Life is just finishing off making his choices, how do you think that this game would prepare a leader for a potential change coming up?
I think there are a lot of things that you can take away from that. For instance, well, we've been talking about taking conscious choices. Whether you want to move people or whether you want to move the boat, it's two completely different strategies. And well, you might want to say taking turns is best, but then I would also recommend to have a close look at the board and then to take a conscious decision. Moving the boat would mean rather using management methods. Moving people closer to the boat, that would mean applying more leadership, for instance. And that's an
Yeah.
important thing to figure out. When do I need my management set of skills and when do I apply my leadership set of skills? And how can I, well, train to work on my blind spot, for instance? So if I'm not good at being visionary, for instance, how can I get better?
Mhm.
Oh, I
So,
can't see the
like,
picture. Yeah, that's better.
yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Um,
sorry, continue.
so if I am the black boat now, I might think about, well, still move the boat further ahead and leaving people further behind, one option, or working on the resistance. There is, well, now you've changed it a bit. Actually, I have changed it a bit, but you have changed the picture.
Yeah, sorry, I just
Um,
removed life from the equation.
yeah. So do I focus on the black guy in resistance level 3 at the bottom of this one exactly? That's Peter. Yeah, he
Yeah.
says I don't trust you. So do I work on trust now,
Mhm.
or do I try to move the others ahead?
I think if you
Yeah.
update data, I played the chapter through. We might be
Yeah.
able to see both. But that's always the dilemma in, especially in the gaming context, is exactly that that issue. Who do you want to go to, basically? Um, and you have
Yes.
also been pushing for the boat, pushing for the project to move on in a phase in the resistance. No, sorry, in the implementation phases, it is always blurry, and it is time just to push forward, push, because people will eventually come, and you should accept a great amount of frustration in that period when you start implementing, when the desks are actually being moved, the system is implemented, the new routines have to be followed, and so on. That is time for frustration within an organization. For sure, it is. So.
All right.
The picture is a bit distorted as it is now because it looks like I'm far in front, which is not true because it shows that I am already in chapter 5. So if you click on
Oh, let me
this one,
move.
that's
Sorry,
more
there we go.
where it is now. Yeah.
Now we are at the same position, Frank.
Yeah, but now you've got more points, so there's something wrong in
Yeah.
the. I said it's wrong.
No, it's yeah. Can you please play? I just need a sound. Can you please play a sound, please?
Are
Can
you
we
ready?
have a yeah? I'm the implementing guy. That's me.
Yeah, but
I'll
that's
take
actually
that
quite
role.
nice because it also demonstrates if you have done something wrong in a change process, a wrong step. That doesn't mean that the whole change is going down. You can correct things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's important to know.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what did you do live? Did you actually take Frank's advice and use one of his strategies to kind of move forward from here, or did you go your own way?
I let myself be inspired, of course, and then I was actually thinking more about pushing for the project, and then actually thinking about staying put on the project and not getting too much attention again to the people leaving behind. In the first couple of options I made, there were still people lagging behind, and I was just thinking, just push on, don't be afraid, and I just did that, even though I was pushed by Frank's good results. So, but I was also thinking now it's time to think about competences. How does people get better in and how do they practice themselves? How can we let them practice and learn and get their experiences? That was the options I went for, because now it's happening. You can't roll back. So.
And how about you, Frank? Did you have a somewhat similar pushing strategy?
My focus was, and it shows, my focus was rather to collect people behind the boat and not move the boat too quickly. I wanted to keep them
a very
close.
different strategy.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And I think it's a perfect example for, well, now you're able to discuss what's actually better, having a fast boat or having a boat that has more people in or close. And well, the answer is not always obvious. It depends. When there is a project that's time critical, you need to have a fast boat. If you want something sustainable, it's maybe better to have the boat with more people in. So there is no right and wrong answer, but this is a perfect situation for reflecting and learning from it.
For sure. Would you say that there are sort of some set stages in the cycle where it's better to push or where it's better to kind of keep the boat laid back a little?
That's an interesting one.
Or maybe that's something that's very variable from case to case.
That's what I guess, yeah.
It would be nice if we could just hack the change cycle and just say, if you push here, then your change will be successful.
This is a game about a merger and synergies. Very much depends, of course, for instance, on the expectations of shareholders. What do they want, and how fast do they want it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this game is also having a little bit different from most games, because it's actually a game where you can go far, but you can't go that far because you're hit by a new change in chapter 6. So it's also a very depressing game to play, because you're not succeeding. And gaming wise, it's actually there is this theory within games that you actually need to be able to achieve the goals, or else you will lose motivation. And this game, you are in danger of getting participants to lose motivations when they get into chapter 6, because suddenly they are hit again, and then you have to start working over. And games normally have like an ending where everything is positive. We close on a high. Some of us close on a high, and then we don't like closing in on something that is not succeeding. But I think this game is much more realistic towards a real change, because there is no such change where you are allowed to anchor in culture, and then there will be a half a year of celebrating, and then a new change comes along. All companies today are hit by multiple changes. All leaders are handling X amount of changes at the same time. So I think it's actually more realistic, this game, than most of the others.
All right. Yeah. I think it is time that we maybe just shed a little bit of light onto the data profile that you actually receive once you finish playing. So this is, I feel like a TV cook every time I'm here. So this is one I played earlier. And as you can see, I did not exactly rank fantastically. I am number 54. But this is the data everybody gets after completing an Acti game. And I was hoping, Leif, that you wanted to pinpoint what you find to be the most important factors to kind of hold on to in this data section.
I think the data section is this part of the data section is primarily made for making people engaged in playing again, or going back to the session and playing another game that the consultants has added in. So if Frank has built a session where you should play this game and another game after, this is meant for you to be interested in doing better, comparing yourself, ranking on points on others. And since it's a game, that's what it's all about. So it's about giving you your ranking in the session that you're in, or all-time ranking, whoever played this game. So you can actually do both here, and you are actually ranking up against everybody else, and you got 60%. That means that you still have 40 to position 1. So there's still a few steps to take if you want to become number 1 of all who ever played this game.
I think I
And
need
I
to
can
be put in a session with Frank for like 2 days. Then maybe I will move.
Exactly, and I can see you played it for a long time, because Tamara is actually she in this session made 158 points too, so she's up there on Sarah Kirkeby. So she's one of the top ranking persons. It's just because you haven't updated the data, but once you update, you will be able to see that. But this, just to leave you with the notion, this picture is basically for motivation, to make you go back and revisit the learnings from the games. But if you scroll down, this is more heavy stuff. This is where the theories comes in. This is where everyone who played the game can actually see how did you do according to different theories. So here, this is the player profile, can navigate between the resistance, the leave it model, Daniel Goleman, what you mentioned in the beginning, and see how do I rank. And the colored part of any graph is the ranking part. That's how I look. And what you're pointing to there means that you have been taking average amount of sense aversion choices compared to everybody else who's playing playing this game. But you have been taking more anchoring culture choice than anyone else. You have taken no communication or vision. You have been taking average of the next one, and so on. So the player can actually here go by and read a little bit about each of the theories and see how have I played this game compared to others. And if you go down, you can see it more clearly. Because here you can again on theory see how have you distributed your options on the different theoretic elements of the games. So it's like a profiling of you playing the game, and it's also meant for you to go in and read a little bit about the theory that you might find interesting, or where you think you deviate the most. So that's what this picture is for. So that's primarily for the player who's playing the game, or playing the games. It's a very strong tool for engagement on the player sides. But it means that everybody logs in, gets their own profile, and it comes regardless of how you logged in. But you need to be logged in as a player into the system to receive this profile. And of course, it can be printed and so on. But Frank can see it on a consolidated view in the host view. I guess we're going to that now.
Yes. Here we go.
And then if you go to profile.
Yes, here we go. So
maybe this is
I want to compare the two of you, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Frank, maybe you want to say something here. This is the resistance levels. I don't know how you use this normally. Do you use this normally in your facilitation?
Yeah, it depends, of course. There is a big difference between whether it's a mixed group of people or a homogeneous management team, and that's where it's particularly important and interesting also. So when there are management teams who know each other quite well, they might actually find patterns that are typical for that team, and so they might be able to find some blind spots or strengths that they have. What you can see here is, we have the green bar is we have managed to reduce resistance, but we have also increased resistance. Well, that definitely not on purpose. That is just a side effect, collateral damage, you might want to call it. But it happens, yeah. So whenever you move the boat too much, too fast, you might create resistance, for instance, and it just happens. So that's not too bad. It's more or less 50-50 strong teams, and that means strong in resistance reduction. They might have 60% green and only 40% red, but it also correlates to other aspects of the data. And let's maybe see something else than resistance.
Yeah. So you can click all of the
If you
theories
add
here.
car, okay. So what you
No,
can see here is
let's go to
Sorry, Lars?
something you want to talk about, Frank. Which one would you like to
doesn't
see?
matter. We can leave it at ADCAR. So ADCAR is
Okay,
a model that helps you to move people through the various stages of change, and it's actually very simple. A is for ability. A is for awareness first. Then the D is for desire, and then it is knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. This is the 4 stages. What we can see here is that the green bar is just not there. So Life and I, we have both obviously neglected the awareness thing here.
yeah,
Yeah, we've tried to push the change without creating awareness. And maybe that's why Life had left 2 people behind after the first round.
could be. I
Well,
doubt it, Frank. I really doubt it.
all right. Now we can have a good discussion. And that's where the learning comes.
Yeah,
Mm.
I love
exactly.
that, yeah. It looks like I have put a large focus on ability, creating the ability. Okay, well, now I can think about that. Is that typical behavior for me, or is it just because I've done 2 things that I might want to rethink now, seeing this? Yeah, so now you can learn, and by reflecting on what you have really done.
Mm. All
If you go
right.
to
Maybe.
Goldman, for instance, the leadership, or well, I also call them communication styles. If you go to profile theory and Goldman, um,
Go.
there you can see which leadership styles you have. Well, either you have moved them, you've used them on purpose, or you've just accidentally used them because they are linked to certain options that we have chosen. And what I can see here is I've used some commanding, some pace setting, and some visionary style, and I've,
Visionary.
well, almost not used a few of the others. Now I can think, is that typical for me? Are these really my preferences? Is it just coincidence? If I play 4 games, would it be the same pattern? If we play as a team, is that what we also well, if you play that in a workshop scenario, you play typically in small groups. Everyone
Mm.
has a suggestion for an option, and then the team comes up with a team decision. And if you look at the team decisions, is that what you actually prefer as a person, or is that a team preference that you might want to have?
Thank you,
So that's
Frank.
very interesting.
So,
Reflect not only on the game, but also on the application of theories and the background. And if you then manage to apply the theories on purpose, that's where the learning comes in.
thank you
Because
so much
after
for
all,
sharing your insights,
you
Frank.
want to use the theories in reality as well, not only in the game.
All right. Unfortunately, time has flown and we only have a minute left. And I really wanted to ask you, Frank, some advice about how you kind of do this in real life. But maybe we just have time for like one piece of advice that you think is sort of the core of using Acti.
Ooh, I think the how I would use the game in an ideal world is I would use the games as a starting point in a change process in order to build competency and to make people um, make decisions in change, not accidentally, but on purpose, consciously.
Mm.
And then you can use the whole methodology that you learn in the game in real life. And that's how we use gaming in a learning journey and in consultant work in change.
Thank you, Frank. That's a great piece of advice. And we only have 30 seconds left. So I just want to say thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please do write them in the chat. We're going to keep watching the chat and we will let you know, reply, comment what we can. So if there's anything, do not hesitate to reach out to us. Frank, thank you so much for participating today. Your insights have been incredibly valuable.
Thank you
And
for having
live,
me.
congratulations with your win. Very well done. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.